Popacansoda, guys, and it's your boy James. Today, guys, we're gonna be reacting to some scary animations. Hope you guys bring your blankets and like and subscribe. Let's hop into this video. Good, pretty far. Good so far.
I'm 24, and this happened 5 years ago when I was 19. I was conducting an online transaction on a site called Alts, which is similar to Craigslist.
Explain how
it's an online app where you can see items being sold by random strangers.
What? You
and all you have to do is
get items from random strangers.
I was looking for a cheap sweater for my trip to Japan the following week. After several minutes of scrolling, I came across an ad with exactly what I was looking for. A Korean-style female fur sweater for just 300 pesos.
What?
About $6.
Where are you gonna get that money, lady?
It was perfect. I had issue with it. The meetup point was at the LRT train station at 8 p.m.
What is that?
Because the seller was too busy at work.
What the heck is that, lady?
I decided, what the heck? It's a public place anyway.
Lady, you
I called the owner and we had a quick convo.
It's totally
he sounded
dangerous.
like a strict guy, but I asked him when we could meet up.
Oh,
he responded, tonight at 8 p.m. sharp.
Guys? I
said sure. But this recklessness of mine is what I regret the most.
Yep, lady.
I arrived at the meeting place at 7:58 p.m.
That's the thing.
It was really empty,
Don't do this,
and I was sure I was the only person in the station. It was a cold night in November, and I eagerly awaited warming myself with my coat.
Why are you going in
Honestly,
the freaking night?
It's comfortable wearing a sweater even when it's hot.
Maybe even kidnap you.
I was sitting on a bench when the clock ticked 8 o'clock. When suddenly someone covered half of my face with a scarf with a really strange scent.
It's gonna kill.
I fell unconscious. As
Goodness.
I woke up, I found myself in a van with 4 guys.
I told you,
my wrist
kids,
handcuffed behind my back. I asked the man what they wanted and to please let me go.
Rob you.
Tears began to fall from my eyes. But then one of the guys touched my face and said,
kidnap you.
"It's our first time ever tasting a beautiful girl like you."
What the? This guy is totally creepy, kid.
Please,
do
I want
not
to go
talk
home.
to random
Please.
strangers. They're gonna kill you.
The guy next to me choked me, shouting that I needed to shut up.
Oh my
I tried to resist, but my eyes started to roll
What?
back in my head.
This guy's
He
crazy.
stopped, but it was taking a long time for me to catch my breath.
Never buy
I
this
looked out
stuff.
the window and saw
I'm
a checkpoint lane.
If you know them,
For the first time in my life,
Trust
I was so glad that the authorities had permission to check the van. But the guy next to me reached for a gun.
Heck?
A really big gun.
Oh my
Knowing this was my only chance,
goodness, guys,
I found the strength to
him.
shout and cried out, "Officer, please help! They have a gun!" The
What
two
the
officers
heck?
immediately grabbed their guns, one shooting at the tires, the other aiming for the man next to me.
Oh my days.
The officer shot him in the head.
That's creepy.
I never thought I'd witness such a thing in my life.
Oh no.
One of the officers carried
guys.
me out of the van,
That's why,
and I
guys,
passed out
you
moments
should
later.
never do this.
I woke up the next day in a hospital bed. My parents were there, crying and asking me what happened. I told them the truth, that I was buying a sweater online.
That's...
But I suddenly snapped. I cried and cried, saying, "Please help, please help."
What? Guys,
Since then, I've had to go to a
Totally
psychiatrist to recover from mental instability and anxiety. And it should go without saying, but I never ever want to buy anything online
told the kids,
ever again.
don't buy stuff on random strangers. It's terrifying. You could even get captured.
When I was 7 or 8 years old, my parents used to take me to this beach cafe in our
I
town.
guess that's far.
It had a pool and the cafe was right next to the beach. The family that owned the cafe were my family's close friends, so I spent a lot of my childhood there. The best part about the beach is that when you passed the cafe and the playground, there was a lot of sand and a net for volleyball.
Fun, kids.
As kids, my friends and I would always play there. One ordinary summer night, there was quite a few of us playing in the sand, making castles and doing other things.
Kids
All of a
or
sudden,
girls,
I heard a noise behind
this
me
is
in the
dangerous.
bushes,
You
right where the
shouldn't be in
sand
the
ended.
night. You shouldn't be.
I should mention
Alone
that there
at
were
the
woods
night.
around the whole
You shouldn't
place,
be.
but it wasn't
You
deep
should
or
be going
anything.
inside your house.
I was a brave
You
kid, so I
can't
just brushed
be
it off
playing
as
in
being
the
a cat
middle
or
of the
animal
night.
of some sort,
Someone
and continued to play.
could
However,
kidnap
when
you.
I looked up at my friends who
Oh
were
my-
now quiet
Oh
and
my
staying
goodness,
still,
that's creepy.
I got the chills. I
Who's
noticed
that?
that all of their eyes had widened. They were staring at me, or rather at whatever was behind me.
Look at that girl's eyes.
The shock kicked in, and I felt like I was going to faint. I started shaking. I didn't even want to turn around.
Oh.
But when I felt something cold on the back of my neck, that was the last straw.
It's a
I started running full speed towards the cafe filled with people, and my friends immediately followed behind me. There were 6 children crying and screaming at the top of our lungs. I remember finally clinging to my mom and crying in her arms.
She looks like a vampire.
Soon after, the sound of sirens followed by police cars parked in front filled the air.
Never
When the adults talked to the police, my friends and I were confused. I still didn't know what was behind me, so I asked my oldest friend in the group, who was 10 years old and talking to his dad.
That's weird.
It turns out there was this crazy old guy who robbed a lady and stabbed her to death not so far away from here.
That is evil,
My friends
guys.
told me he appeared behind me smiling like a sick clown.
Oh my days.
He was holding a knife and pressing it against the back of my neck. That must have been the cold thing I felt.
No, guys.
From then on, I never stayed far away
life,
from the
guys.
cafe when
That's
the
a
sun
kid.
went down.
That's a thing.
And thankfully, they caught the
Oh
guy.
my days. That's a creepy ass laugh. This is clearly a clown. It's a clown, kids, guys. Oh, I'm terrified. What are you now gonna do, guys?
This happened a little over 20 years
Guys,
ago.
it sounds like he's in
I
his
was
room.
10 years old and my sister was 6. We grew up in a small town, raised only by our hardworking mother. It started when school was nearly finished for the year. The nights were late because my sister was up all night crying about a
How is
witch.
there witches at this, kids?
Anyway, my mother started receiving odd calls once in a while at work.
I need one of your children.
That's a scary ass voice, guys.
Mom figures it was some stupid prank and ignored it. But then she started receiving calls daily.
If someone
Eventually,
is calling
she
you
was
like that
receiving
over
a
and over,
call
you're gonna
most
call the
nights
police.
at our
It's
home.
an idea that is gonna work. They'll
She
arrest
reported
you.
it to the police, and they said whoever was calling was using random payphones. There wasn't much they could do about it. So she had both her work and home number changed.
Yep, that's a smart idea. That's
One
not
night around
smart,
10
guys.
or so,
You're gonna have to block
there was a
all
frantic
these
knock on
messages,
her door.
all these calls, guys. You must block it.
Mom
on your
looked out
phone,
through the
guys.
window
This is
and
totally
saw a
dangerous.
lady with long hair in her 60s.
What the?
Not knowing her, Mom went near the locked door and asked what she wanted. The
Wow,
lady
guys,
asked if she
that
could come
is
inside
creepy.
because she was in a car accident.
She's
Mom said she would
definitely
call the
lying,
police
kids.
for
I'm
her
always
and told her to wait
lying.
outside. There was a pause.
No,
That's
don't call the
creepy.
cops.
Guys, that looks like a voice recorder.
Mom thought this was strange and started walking to the phone.
That's scary,
Immediately
guys.
again, a banging on the door.
I might tell you guys.
Mom ran to the phone and looked out the window to see the lady staring at her.
Oh my days!
She coldly said,
Dorothy Margaret,
Oh, no.
I want one of your children.
Guys, I see what you want to
Dorothy
do.
Margaret,
Defend.
I want one of your children.
She kept repeating it until Mom noticed flashing lights of police approaching,
You should definitely do
and she
something.
left.
Take a knife, guys. Maybe
The police
I'm gonna
searched
tell- I'm
everywhere
gonna use
and
this
kept a
knife on
car
him.
outside
That's
each
a
night
smart
for a
idea,
week.
Guys. He'll totally
Nothing.
back off. If he
A
tries
few
to attack
weeks
you,
later,
kids,
summer
don't
finally
stab him
started
yet.
and my
Push
sister
him
wasn't
away
having the nightmares
and call
anymore
the
about the
cops
witch.
while
We
you're
were at
holding
one
the
of my
knife so you
baseball
defend him
games
back.
and my mother was talking to a teacher at my sister's school and telling her what happened. The teacher said,
Oh, it sounds like your stepmother.
Mom looked back confused and said she doesn't have a stepmother.
Oh no.
The teacher's face turned white. A while ago,
Oh,
a
sir.
lady in her 60s would come watch the children play at lunch. She said she was my mother's stepmom and liked to watch my sister at lunch.
That's creepy, guys.
She reported it
same
again
person.
to the police and they checked camera footage.
Guys, you should have
Sure
called the
enough,
cops and
on a
arrested them.
faraway
They are
park
totally
bench,
a little bit
there was an
useless
old lady
sometimes,
most lunchtimes.
but solve
They
it
noticed
and
she was
don't do
always
it
coming
yourself,
from
kids.
the woods.
It's totally
So
dangerous.
the police did a search and found an old shanty shack type of place.
Guys, it looked like she
It had
built
old
it
blankets
herself.
and a fire pit.
She built it definitely
And it
herself.
had pictures she had drawn of us. That was the last time we ever heard of her.
She's stalking
When summer was ending,
family
my
for
sister
no
started
reasons.
having the nightmares of the witch again.
Oh, that makes sense from the
Mom
start.
asked why she was getting scared again, and she said,
Because she comes to school and watches us.
What? Guys, that's the worst
the
impression
witch
of the
was
voice.
the old lady.
Oh my days. That's scary, guys. What I would do, guys, that'll be it, guys, for this scary animations, guys. Hope you guys like and subscribe, guys.